Hello, this is foxastrologyjon here with your opportunities for the day. Feeling a little bit better. You can probably hear, though, I'm still a little congested, but feeling much better. I had crazy brain fog. I had coughing fits. I mean, I'm still coughing here and there, but things just seem overall much more better. Have a lot more energy. So I'm excited to get back. So just going to shuffle real quick, pull a card, and see what the message is for today. So, we have another staff's message. It's so funny, we're having jades for so long. Today, it's the Three of Staffs. It's reversed. So, normally when it is upright, we're looking at, I guess you could say, partnerships. You're talking about the development of not just your own business, your own affairs, but also the development of others. So there's this air of collaboration, of cooperation with others. So when we look at it reversed, you can see that there is, I guess you could say, it breaks even. In this case, I think the message overall is sort of like, it's not even really the idea of take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. This is really talking about sometimes how we can feel the futility of material effort, how sometimes despite all of our hard work, despite all of our sacrifices, that where we seem to be and where we wanted to be just aren't going to meet, that you're just going to feel somehow like nothing has moved and nothing has changed, despite it's basically feeling like you have, in an effort to explore some new avenue, some new form of success, you've ended up right back where you started. Now, to me, this really looks at what the process is. To me, the message for you today is to consider the idea that the journey or the process of growth is really the focus. And for me personally, the process and the journey is probably the most exciting, probably the most fulfilling part of any meaningful life. Your exciting interactions with others, your dramatic encounters, your unexpected situations, all of those put into the journey will show you that life is really about just the experience of contrast, the experience of moving from one thing to another thing, from literally going to a foreign place, recognizing that you are the same and recognizing that other people are also the same, but yet somehow you're in a different physical location. We notice this a lot in our experiences with others, how all of a sudden we recognize that either, this person that we knew in high school has not changed. They're exactly the same. They're doing the same behaviors that you noticed that they were doing when they were younger, and yet the outward appearance, maybe they appear to have aged, maybe they appear to have dressed differently, but essentially they are the same person. These are all ways of talking about the fact that sometimes through our efforts to create change, through our efforts to grow, through our efforts to expand and experience success, sometimes we find that nothing ends up changing. So the challenge is how to see this as something that isn't, some measure that this isn't some measure of suffering, that this isn't some negative experience. And how do we look at this as not being a negative experience when what you wanted did not happen. And that's the thing that we deal with a lot, is having our desires reflected back onto us and noticing, oh, that didn't happen. And as soon as it happens, what happens is our ego comes into the situation and says, oh no, this means something. This means something terrible. This means I'm not good enough, or maybe I need to blame an external circumstance for what happened, etc., etc. When in reality, this is just uncovering another layer of our desires, uncovering another experience that we want to have. And that is basically showing us through this lack of change that the way that we did something, the intention that we had going into that effort, maybe it was the timing, maybe it was this, maybe it was that ultimately we are being called to try something different. Now, when you look at the interpretation for this card, for reversed, it talks about how the business venture is a success, but the profit that you get from it is a disappointment. There's some kind of end to adversity, or like to challenge or to difficulty, but somehow you don't feel like there was a reward that came with it. And so that's the thing is we're looking beyond the material reward. We're looking beyond what is considered materially successful and looking at what the journey provided for us in that case. So summing down, boiling down to the basics here, today's message is how to look past what you would consider to be a material success and look at what lessons that you're able to get from the experience as a result. Did you recognize maybe that what you liked about the experience? Did you recognize what you did not like about the experience? Try to learn from it. Try to take something else away from it if you feel like somehow there just wasn't a rewarding end. So, looking past what you set out for, looking past what your original goals, what your original intentions were when you set out trying to accomplish this goal, what did you end up taking with you anyways? A lot of times, I feel like when they talk about people who are well-adjusted, if you've ever heard that phrase, what I feel like this is talking again, one thing that I've really been focusing on lately is the idea of grace, or the concept of the swan, surrendering to the mysteries of our life, the things that we cannot predict, the things we cannot expect, the things we cannot change, surrendering to those things and recognizing that when we become graceful, when we learn to deal with unexpected situations and to just trust ourselves, to trust the situation will unfold as it needs to, and to know that at the end of it, there will still be something else left for us. There's the journey, there's the experience, there's the unexpected things. Because ultimately, if you knew exactly what was going to happen at the end, would you have done it? Possibly not. But the point is that life, sometimes you don't get that choice. You don't get to know what happens ahead of time. And in fact, I would argue that you never get to know what happens ahead of time. But you don't like movies where you can guess the ending, so why would you have the same experience here? Why would you have a different experience here? So consider what you enjoyed about this, maybe this recent experience for you. Maybe recently in life you experienced what you might call a setback. You experienced some kind of disappointing conclusion. And in this case, this message for today, this opportunity for the day is to ask you, what else? Begin searching through the experience and finding the little nuggets, the little joyful experiences, whether it was a nice connection that you made with somebody, whether it was just a fun time, whether if you actually experienced some kind of challenge or some difficulty or even some pain, what did you get out of that experience and what did it teach you about what you want to do in the future? Really, overall, what did you learn beyond just learning that sometimes your goals aren't met? Sometimes events don't pan out the way that you expected them to. So hopefully this helps you. If you have any experience with this personally, not just from today, but maybe in the past where you've realized, you know what, this goal that I set out for didn't end up happening. But honestly, what happened was even better. Either because you learned something that you were able to take with you, permanently. Whereas sometimes the goals that we set are not permanent. It's just literally a number. It could be a certain amount of cash that you get. It could be a certain really material goal. In this case, sometimes what you learn is worth way, way more. So I look forward to your feedback. Please comment below, share your experience, share if you had any insights from this card. And I also just loved in general to hear back from you and have some feedback letting me know how I'm doing. As always, you can subscribe to catch the next video, which will be coming out tomorrow. I do this every day. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.